Okay, we are going to have our parenting and family corner right now. We're going to be corresponding to a guest joining us all the way from Kenya, in the heart of the urban Kenya, from Nairobi's crowded estates to sprawling public schools. Children are losing something essential: space to play. How devastating is this? We're going to be speaking to Karanja, a child psychologist, to see, what are the deficits of having less playtime and play space in our schools. I really loved the class. I really loved being able to hide from my friends. I would, just rolling in the grass was always a fun thing to do. And, I had a teacher, who would make these unconventional decisions sometimes, like, no. Today, for this period, we're actually going to go and explore the jungle gym, So we would be out in the jungle gym while everyone else is in class. We used to love her.
You're right. There was also a teacher that I remember. It used to be my favorite time, reading outside.
Oh, yes.
So during the English class, you'd go and, have books because they were prescribed books. But then we'd go and sit outside to do the reading. That was very fun. I love doing that.
Yes, so we're going to be looking at that. What are the benefits of child play, especially in a place designated for play, because sometimes we force areas to be for play that are not meant for play. Yeah, man, stay in touch with us for that one. Maybe you have questions for Lewis. Remember that WhatsApp number is still there for you, +27 63 406 9126. That's where you can find us. Remember, we're also live in our live streams. If you haven't been there, come join us and we'll give you a shout out as soon as you enter in, and let us know where you are checking out Channel Africa from. You can find that live stream on our Facebook page. It is going to pop up as soon as you get on our Facebook page. Subscribe as well, become part of the Channel Africa community. And also, you can find it on YouTube. They run simultaneously at the same time, so you can decide, hey man, do I want to check this out on YouTube or do I have access to Facebook? It might be easier for you there, so we make sure that those platforms are there for you. Come into the studio. We want you to also be part of the studio experience.
Benjamin Moshatama and Palesa Tau on the move.
Yeah. Me do on a teen, hey. Boomba and stone. Yeah. Brown skin girl, I'm for me. Take life, don't chase money. If you go, I greet mommy. I greet mommy. It's not funny. You know I get money. Bad girls, they fall for me. But I can see something inside you, and I want to explore what defines you. I can see something inside you. If you let me in your life, you'll be those I'll be glad.
Nobody fight past you. Madi dede, so bad, so bad. Nobody fight past you. Madi dede, so bad, so bad.
For your body, I'm addicted. For your body, I'm addicted. Yeah. Too bad, too bad.
For your body, I'm addicted. I'm addicted. Too bad, girl, I am serious. I see the loving in your eyes, and I'm curious. And I wanna know if you feel me too. Don't be shy. Yeah. Tell me what you need, me money never greedy. That's them rub up on you right now. You alone please me, make me tease it. That's them rub up on you right now.
Hey, celebrating some African melanin there. That's brown skin, Kamido and Stone Boy on that one. It's 10 minutes past 11 o'clock Central African time. We're going to speak all things parenting after the break.
Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. Musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you'll be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Palesa and Benjamin, fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
Okay, in the heart of urban Kenya, it seems like we are seeing a loss of something very essential for the little ones, space to play. Despite legal requirements that school must include playgrounds for registration, many fail to meet the standards. Well, experts are saying that the result is more than just an elbow room problem. It's a growing crisis for physical, mental, and social health. When children can't play, explore, and connect outdoors, their development is compromised. We unpack how this architecture of our schools actually is important, and not having it can undermine the well-being of children. Louis Karanja is joining us on the line, a child psychologist. Louis, welcome here on Channel Africa. Louis, can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Yes, I can hear you.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us here on Channel Africa. It's something that we want to know about. What's happening in Kenya when it comes to space to play? It seems like there's a concern around this issue.
Yes. There's a concern in Kenya because a lot of schools, you find they have been built in a certain piece of land, and there's no place. There's no place for the children to play. There are no swings. So most of the time they are cooked up in their classrooms and they're not able to play. So that's a very major concern because a lot of schools in Kenya, a lot of individuals have built schools and they have not put away some space for the children to be able to play.
And, that could be taken lightly. Like, children are not going to school to play. They're going to school to learn. But that's a big misconception, isn't it, Louis?
Yes, it is. But we normally say that no play makes Jack a dull boy. So even if the children are learning, they need to have that space to be able to interact, to play, and just to create their safe space in school.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of space that's needed for children to play. What would you recommend as a child psychologist?
All right. So in my own perspective, I will categorize children, since children are different. A 7-year-old is different, has a different capacity of thinking from a 12-year-old. Now, in terms of the setting of how the playground should be, so it should be able to incorporate all the children, from the little children now from 4 years, 5 years to a child who is 12, 13 years, so that they can be able, even if they won't play together, they'll be able to have that space to be able to play their own games. So just having a playground is really big and free, so that each and every child can be able to maneuver and they can be able to play whichever game they are comfortable in.
The spotlight of this conversation essentially goes back to the fact that we need to remember the importance of play for children and how play also, increases the development of children. This is not just a factor that I've seen in Kenya. In fact, I've always wondered when I was younger, when you go to Central Business District, whether it's here in the Johannesburg CBD, you'll find schools there in tall buildings, in skyscrapers. And I always wonder to myself, so Where do these children play? Because it's not exactly like, a school with a lot of land. It's on a building with stories up. So there's no grass. There are no play areas, no designated places like you would in a conventional school with a huge playground with grass featured there. Let's come back and speak about that essentially. That's the importance of play for children and how it is part of the natural development of children. Speak to us about that, Lewis.
All right. So majorly the importance of having a playground for children. The first thing is for the children to be able to build on their cognitive skills. Now, by cognitive, I mean them solving problems, resolving their conflict between their peers, and if they have a conflict between the teacher, just having those skills. And the other thing is just having social skills. Now, just like an adult, also children, they need to build on their social skills. How to interact with their fellow peers, how are they supposed to play. Even in play, there's usually a certain procedure. You don't just get into a game. You have to learn the rules. So basically the social skills. And the other thing is on the stress reduction. So whenever a child is playing, there are chemicals and also hormones in their body that are usually produced. The happy hormones that are usually produced whenever they are stressed. Now, depending in the environment that the child is stressed in. So if it is at home, they are having stress which is related back at home or in school, it is usually relieved. Then the most important of all is physical health, because you find that a child is able to exercise. So when we're talking about diseases like obesity, or if they're having any physical challenges to do with their bones or physical health, you'll find that it will continue improving when they have that time to play and adequate space to play in school.
That phrase adequate space is an interesting one, right? Because,
Yes.
you can't have adequate space in concrete. You can't have adequate space where there is dangerous equipment around for children. So the quality of that space is also important. Could you elaborate on that?
Okay, so by space, you can find the space might be small. The school can be built like what you are saying in a concrete place. Probably it's just concrete, but it has a really small space. Now that small space, it will be really hard because not all children will be able to access the playground. So you might find that the little ones will be able to access, since for them they don't learn too much. And you see now for the older children who are if you are to put an age to it, 7, 8, 9 years, you'll find that they'll be cooked up in their classes and they won't be allowed to play. So the space needs to be really, really big to accommodate all the children. So during the break, all of them, they need to be in that particular playground. They don't have to go in shifts, because in Kenya, I've seen schools that they have to go in shifts. So if it is in Kenya, in the Kenyan perspective, if a child is in grade 1, you find that during their break time, they only have 10 minutes to use the playground, then they go back to class so that the others can come back in.
Wow, that's so interesting, especially the fact that you highlight that in Kenya, in some schools, they go to shifts just to get that outside experience. We'll continue to speak about the benefits or what also can be done to change this. But I'm also interested in how much time they should be out there playing outside and actually getting that outside experience during their schooling. Lewis, stay there on the line. We're having a great guest from Kenya joining us to speak about the Kenyan situation, but I'm sure all countries can actually learn from this one. Lewis Karanja is a child psychologist. We'll come back to him after the break.
Hi there.
Do you want to elevate your business and give it a voice in South Africa and Africa as a whole? Well, in that case, let Channel Africa make this a possibility. Channel Africa is willing to advertise your business for as little as 30,000 rands or $1,719.18. To get access to these great rates, send all requests to mukwenata@SABC. That's MOKOENATA@SABC. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Hashtag on the move and connect with us.
How is the new architecture of schools across the continent, in Kenya in particular, in today's conversation, and the shortage of space really impacting the choice or the ability for children to play, and of course undermining their well-being because of that? We're still speaking to Lewis Karanja, child psychologist, joining us from Kenya to have this conversation. Lewis, at the end of the day, there are certain reasons why this is taking place. Space is a factor, of course, and children still need education. Perhaps there aren't enough schools, and the schools that are able to be there don't have that playful that space for play, or that space to create playgrounds. But what's the middle ground here? What exactly can be done if we do still want our children to be in school, but we don't want them to not have access to certain developmental needs that they have, like play? What's the middle point?
Okay. So an alternative of what can be done if you find a school has a limited space and there's no way out, so they can't find anything else. One thing they can do is to incorporate now, like the younger children between the ages of 4 to 7 years, because for them they thrive a lot playing with dolls, having that imaginative play. What can be done is the teacher can be able to incorporate that in class. Now, like having the imaginative play with the dolls, with the toys, so that they can be able, the teachers can be able to reignite that safe space, and they can be able now to mold that child, so that in terms of their cognitive skills, because whenever they are playing, there's something that you can be able to teach them. Now, just like a moral story. If you teach them something to do with conflict, you can be able to do that. Then the other thing is hiring a different place, like a playground that is nearby the school. So like the school head can talk to the community, or to someone who has the authority of now giving them a place for the children to play, so that there can be a specific day that the children will have. Now, like a PE, a day that each and every class can be able to be incorporated and they can go and play. So we say like a day like Thursday, you can say like the grade ones will go to this particular playground, and the other day, the other classes will just follow.
I like that.
So basically just incorporating and using what you have in the community and also in the society.
I love that, also giving also public space a different meaning, and how children can also use that public space. Something that we haven't interrogated yet with you, Lewis, is, what happens if you don't provide this public outside space or playgrounds for children to play? What are the consequences of that?
Okay. So on the consequences, something that I don't normally like talking about. So let's start with we talked about the cognitive skills. So a child will not be able to work through a conflict. So whenever they're in a conflict, since most of the time they're in class, they are not able to go out and play with their peers or with their friends. So most of the time you'll hear of fights in school, there'll be strikes. The other thing, there will be a behavioral problem. So a child, you'll find that they're struggling with anger issues. They're not able to manage their anger. For the other students, you'll find that they'll have picked up some vulgar language. because in class you'll find that there are a lot of fights, a lot of confrontation also with the teacher and also the students, since most of the time you see they're having a lot of interactions and they don't have that time apart with the teacher. The other thing will be anxiety. You'll find that a child will really be anxious. Now, the anxiety is coming in because this child is not having time outside classroom, because they're just thinking about how am I going to answer a question in the next subject. I don't like this teacher. I don't like this subject. This sum is too difficult for me. You see, now the anxiety keeps building up. And now it can also lead to depression for the severe cases. You find that a student will have a lot of negative feelings towards school, towards their teacher, towards even the subjects that they are doing. So it will be really difficult for that child.
You know,
Then
Lewis.
lastly,
Yeah. Please
yes.
continue. Yes. Go
And
ahead.
lastly will be the physical health. You'll find that they'll also struggle with the obesity, since they are not going out to play and they are not having the physical exercise.
Lewis, those are a lot of impacts that might happen, and we're already struggling with something that is quite worrisome right now, and that's cell phones and technology. These children always stuck in their phones, and I'm afraid with this limited space in schools to play, that's the only avenue that children are going to. Let's speak about some of the long-term impacts, right? Maybe just in school, as you just spoke, those could be the impacts, but in the long run, if children don't pay enough and their development is slowed down, I guess, those parts of their development are slowed down, what could be the long-time life impacts for those children in the future?
All right, an interesting one. I don't know if you have heard of a midlife crisis of an adult.
Yes, I have.
Now, that is what will happen. That is what will happen to these particular children. Now, for them, they will now start acting as children, as adults. Now they will want to play the games that they played as a child, since they didn't have that. So in a psychology term we usually use is that we'll say that child is fixated, since at that time they didn't get that play at that time. Now they'll now start playing, they'll be confused. Now they'll have the childlike behavior as an adult, since they were not able to show it, they didn't play, so they didn't act as a child back then. Because you see now in school, in the class setting, the teacher wants you to stay on your seat, do as they say, and you can't do anything contrary to what you have been told. So basically, that child will have a lot of midlife crisis. So in terms of their behavior, they'll now start acting up. You'll find that they have a behavior that you wouldn't find in an adult. Now, like playing with dolls, being interested in more activities that children would want to play.
All right, Lewis, as we wrap things up, what would your recommendation be? I mean, these schools already exist. They don't have enough space as is. What sort of extracurricular activities can be put in play for these children to still experience the play that is necessary for their growth and development?
So my recommendation will be, if there is a limited space for the schools, they should at least have a time for the children to play either once or twice in a week, so that the children can be able to have that particular time to play on their own and to just interact with themselves. Then the other thing is to engage the community and also the society and also the key stakeholders, so that they can be able to know that this school is situated here. What is the nearby playground that this particular school can use, or can they share with another school that is nearby? So basically engaging the key stakeholders, so that they can create more awareness and find adequate space for schools that don't have the playgrounds.
Well, it's been a good conversation, Lewis. Thank you so much for helping us on this one. It's a very important one, especially as we see less and less space happening in our urban areas. This might be a phenomenon that we start seeing more often all across the African continent, and there need to be ways to help these children to still develop and grow as is necessary. Thank you for your time, Lewis.
You're welcome.
That's child psychologist Lewis Karanja. What do you think about this one? If there isn't enough space for children to play in schools, in the playground, what should be the alternative to help with their growth and development? Let us know. This is also your conversation at Channel Africa 1.